How to propagate philodendron. Philodendrons. Philodendron spp. Includes more than 200 species of tropical plants. These include the fiddle leaf philodendrons, Philodendron panduriforme, heartleaf philodendron, Philodendron scandens, and tree philodendron, Philodendron bipinnatifidum, commonly grown as houseplants. These plants are sensitive to cold temperatures, but they can be grown as perennials in U.S. Department of Agriculture plant hardiness zones 10 through 12. Propagating them is relatively easy. Philodendrons root easily from stem cuttings. Many can be rooted in a glass jar or vase of water, but will develop a stronger root system if you root them in moist perlite or peat moss. Because philodendrons can be propagated by either tip or stem cuttings, you can root several plants from one vine. For tip cuttings, cut 2 to 3 inches off the end of the vine so that it contains the new leaves at the tip. For stem cuttings, remove a 10-inch vine and cut it into several 2 to 3 inch sections. For rooting in water, place the cuttings in a vase of water and set them in a warm area to root. Otherwise, dip the basal end, the end that faces the main plant of the cutting, in rooting hormone and insert it into moist potting media. Cover the pots with plastic and place them in an area that receives bright, indirect light. Maintain a soil temperature of 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit for optimal root formation. Keep the soil moist, but not soggy until the roots are formed. To test root formation, gently tug on the cutting. If it resists your efforts, the roots are adequately formed. Transplant the new plants to individual pots. Dividing overgrown or mature philodendron is a quick way to gain new plants. Because each section already has an established root system, new growth appears within days and the new plant typically thrives. To divide, water the plant well to moisten and loosen the soil the morning before dividing the roots. This makes division easier and provides your philodendron with the moisture it needs to combat the stress of transplanting. Remove the plant from the container and gently pull the roots into 2 or more sections, making sure each section has at least 2 shoots. Replant the main plant in the original container and set the division aside for potting in fresh soil. Overgrown philodendrons that begin to droop are good candidates for air layering. Select a section of the stem and remove the leaves 3 to 4 inches above and below leaf node. Use a sharp sterilized knife to cut a 1-inch slit in the stem of the plant. Angle the cut upward so that it reaches to the center of the stem, but do not sever the stem. Place a toothpick into the slit so that the width of the toothpick holds the slit open and the ends stick out on either side of the stem. This prevents the wound from healing. Dust the cut with rooting hormone to encourage good root formation. Wrap 2 handfuls of moist peat moss around the cut and cover it with plastic wrap, using care to seal the edges to prevent moisture loss. Secure the plastic and peat moss in place with tape or string. Watch for new roots to form inside the plastic. Cut the new plant free of the stem when the bag is filled with new roots and plant the new plant in soil. Philodendrons prefer loose, well-drained soil high in organic matter. They can be planted in peat moss, a combination of peat moss and perlite, or you can make your own potting medium with equal parts perlite, peat moss, and either all-purpose potting soil or compost. All-purpose potting soil or garden loam are not recommended for plants in containers because they are too heavy, compact easily with repeated watering, and tend to drain slowly. Fill your plant pot or container about 3/4 full with fresh potting medium. Position the rooted cutting or division into the plant pot and spread the roots out over the soil. Gently fill in around the roots with soil. Adjust the cutting or division so that the crown, the area where the roots meet the stem, rests or the soil line. Firm the soil down with your hands to secure the plant. Place the new plants in an area that receive bright, indirect light, but avoid direct sunlight.